So this, of course, is a seeded heat, the second of 3 heats in the 1500 metres. Pallister and Ghost in the middle lanes there. Pallister finishing 4th in the 400 last night. And, of course, she's remembered for that remarkable performance at the World Short Course Championships in Melbourne back in 22 when she won the 400, the 800 and the 1500 metres, and how she's kicked on from then. She's off to a great start here.
Yeah, busy schedule this week for Lani Pallister. When you look at racing 2 times in each, the 400, the 800 and 1500, of course, it's the same schedule, that of Ledecky and Li Bingji and Isabel Gose, amongst others. Lani Pallister will look to not just win this heat, but do it with as minimal energy as possible. With just 2 seeded heats in these distance events now, the swimmers know that more or less top 2 in the first heat will certainly be safe. I wouldn't want to be 3rd or 4th in this first heat, because the second heat get the luxury of looking at what sort of times they're posted in terms of how much they actually need to push. So Lani Pallister out in front. We can see there 4 World Championship medals to her name. She's raced at 3 long course World Championships, from Budapest to Fukuoka and now to Singapore. And we look at the wide shot, that's Gillian Cox there in the white cap below the yellow lane robe. She's well behind at the moment. A disappointing first opening 3 laps there for Cox. It's going to be a tough race for the American now.
Yes, once again we focus on the health of the American swimmers, and early stages here, but Cox has given Pallister a fair old lead here. In second place at the moment, Quadrella, who was a 4th place getter at the Paris Olympics. She is the defending champion here, and she also took the silver medal at the Fukuoka World Championships. So there's plenty of great CVs in this race. Gose was the bronze medalist in Paris and silver medalist in Doha.
Yeah, Pallister looking really strong there. We saw it in the 400 final where she barely kicks her legs at all, and that's in a 400-metre race, so she's not even going to touch her legs in this 1500 metres freestyle. But in and out of the turns is where she's really skillful. She comes from a surf life-saving background, and generally those swimmers coming out of the beach in Australia lack the skills in the pool to keep up with their world-class competitors, but not as such for Lani Pallister. Perfect freestyle technique there. She's really shoulder-driven. She's got incredibly strong shoulders. She's a tall woman as well. She's able to reach out long with her freestyle arm strokes, and again, keep her pull right underneath her body. That's the strongest way to get the most amount of propulsion with each and every stroke. There it is underwater, a lot of catch. That left elbow, that left arm, really, it doesn't even extend out in front. She almost enters in a catch position. A high elbow catch, pulling under the water, and those legs just floating and kicking and crossing over just to maintain rhythm of her body. The kick is not for propulsion, it's just for rhythm and balance in distance freestyle.
Lani Pallister comes from a swimming family. Her mother, Janelle Elford, was a terrific 800, 1500 metre swimmer. A few years ago, she coaches Lani, and of course, Lani's godmother is one of the greatest of all time. That's Dawn Fraser, an Australian legend. So Lani Pallister has swimming in her blood, and she's out to record a good time here and get a good lane in the final.
Yes, there she is, well out in front. Lani Pallister. Quadrella moving now in second position. The Italian, they've been strong so far at these championships on the men's and the women's side. Gose, they're from Germany. We know how deep they are in their distance swimming. Gose in 3rd spot. She was in that 400 freestyle final last night as well. And Singapore there in 4th. That's Gan Qingwei. We spoke about in the previous heat that she broke the long-standing 400-metre freestyle national record yesterday in the heats. The longer the race goes, the better it is for Gan Qingwei. Entry time of 16:10. If she can get 4th with a strong time in this heat, or even better than 4th, but anything better than 4th might be tough. If Gan can finish 4th, that puts her in as an outside shot to make the final tomorrow night, which would be Singapore's best chance of a finals here at a home World Championships.
So we're coming down to the 500-metre mark, and it's still Pallister who leads from Quadrella. And the margin is, what, 2¼ seconds. In third place, Ghosts of Germany. And Cox from the United States is right back there in 8th placing at the moment, swimming out of lane number 6. So she really is struggling. She's back towards the tail of the field.
Yeah, she's almost 20 metres behind Pallister at the moment. And again, we're just sort of stating the facts here that it's nobody's fault that the American team's gotten sick, and it's not the swimmers' fault that they're well and truly trying their best here. And we can all relate to what food poisoning feels like, let alone coming into an elite level competition and racing the toughest event on the pool program. Just a disappointing experience that's going to be there, but one that certainly swimmers like Julian Cox can hopefully motivate them to succeed and get that final part of their preparation safe, I would say, in terms of getting their best performance at the international level.
It's a real blow to the United States. With often the year after an Olympics is a quieter year. You've got retirements, you've got some swimmers, top-line swimmers having the year off. You've got younger swimmers coming through. The USA, though, are pushing forward with force, aren't they? Because they've got the LA Olympics coming up. So they're using this whole Olympic period as preparation for LA 28. And look, they've got a lot of time to recover, there's no doubt about that, but they were looking for, and they were looking like they were going to put in some great performances here in Singapore, but so many of their swimmers are off colour.
Well, on the women's side, they were fantastic all year this year, and especially last month at the trials. I mean, you saw in-season world records from Ledecky and Walsh. You back off a huge short course season last year from Walsh and Douglas and Regan Smith, and Tori Husker's come into her own. Claire Curzon's back in her best form. Lily King as well. And it's a blip on the radar, as you mentioned, in terms of this Olympic cycle. But traditionally, the United States have struggled to race at World Championships or major meets hosted in Asia. We saw the Australian team perform really well 2 years ago in Fukuoka to win the gold medal tally for the first time in 2 decades. And again last night, the Australians love racing in Asia. When you look at the Tokyo Olympics, Fukuoka World Champs twice in the last 20 years, and now here in Singapore 2025, 2 gold medals last night in the relays.
Well, I think Lani Pallister loves racing in Asia because she's enjoying herself out there at the moment. She leads by 2.37 seconds. Quadrella in second place, and then it's Ghosts and Gan, but there's quite a distance between that top 4 group, and then you go back quite a distance to the rest of them, and that's headed by Deans of New Zealand, who's swimming out of lane number 5.
Yeah, Pallister out in front. This is the 800 split coming up. I mean, she's well in control of this heat, but it's not slow at all. 8:20.5 and 8:22 from Quadrella, who's out-splitting Pallister by just a few tenths on each 50 metres. Now, it wouldn't surprise me to see Pallister start to relax and ease off. Quadrella should probably move up within a body length of her towards the end of the race, but I think Pallister will know exactly what she needs to do to hold off the challenge and take the first of the seeded heats.
Yeah, the starts are not all that important in these 1,500-metre races, but really from the moment she came up and stroked for the first time, she was in front, Lani Pallister, and that's been the way the race has unfolded. She does have that challenge, though. The Italian is only about 2.5 body lengths behind her, and she may well take out this heat, but as Bobby Hurley mentioned, Lani Pallister knows what she needs to do with a heavy program to make it through to the final and perform at her best. Remembering there's Ledecky and Kopechnikova and Li Bingji and Johnson and Thomas, and you can name the whole lot of them coming up in the third and final heat. It's still Pallister who leads it, though, from Quadrella, Ghosts and then Gan.
Yeah, for Pallister and Quadrella, who really don't use their legs at all, it's almost like they're swimming with a pool buoy between their legs, where floating their legs through, which obviously it fatigues the arms, but it's much easier to swim on your arms than on your legs. So the ability to recover and back up from this morning's performance is easier for the arm-driven swimmers than it is from the leg-driven swimmers, which we see more on the men's side with Walbrock and Bobby Fink, who are big kickers for the entire duration of the event. So there it is underwater, just floating those legs. It's a 2-beat kick. It's 1 kick per stroke, just balancing and coordinating their legs and their hips in time to get the most out of their shoulders. And again, I mentioned Quadrilla will move up on Pallister here through this last couple of 100 meters. I mean, they're just turning there at the 1,000. Quadrilla will move up, but Pallister, with the experience she's got, and she's got the ability to bring her legs in and change pace and do enough to win this heat. When we look at Pallister's performances more recently last month, she did a personal best time in all 4 of her distances, the 200, the 400, the 800, and the 1,500 meters freestyle, which is a good boost in your confidence after changing coaches after the Paris Olympics. She's now training with Dean Boxall in Brisbane. And the fact that she can go 1:54 in the 200 meters freestyle and swam another 1 second PB last night in the 400 means she's not swimming for a bronze medal in that 8 and 15. I think she's got the capacity and the ability to be able to shoot for gold now.
So she leads, but that gap is closing. Quadrilla, as they'll go through the 1,100 metre mark. So think of this as a 400 still to swim then, as far as Lani Pallister's concerned.
And Gan Qingwei in 3rd spot at the moment. The Singaporeans overtaken Germany for 3rd spot. If Gan can maintain this 3rd in the first heat, that puts Singapore in a great shot at qualifying for a World Championship final.
That would be a terrific effort, and especially in the 1,500, you don't tend to see those performances come out. So that would be a great effort. Pallister, though, turns at the 1,150 metre mark for margin just over a second. The Italian in 2nd place. Gan of Singapore in 3rd and looking pretty comfortable over Ghost.
Yeah, Quadrilla just moving over to that lane rope now, just trying to get as close as she can to Pallister, and Pallister responds, does the right thing by moving away from Quadrilla, not to give her any drag or slipstream through the water or any sort of advantage. So Pallister reading the conditions well, maybe using her surf life-saving background there to be a little bit more tactical. And again, the split times have dropped off a lot there for Pallister. She's in the 32 lows, getting outsplit by Quadrilla. Again, we'll see the Italian Quadrilla, much like, you know, the great Gregorio Paltrinieri, really grind their way through these races. They're great through the tough parts of the event, but they just lack the skills out of the turn and the ability to bring the legs in. They don't have the finishing speed to match it with some of the best swimmers in the world these days. So 250 to go. Lani Pallister in firm control of this one.
Yes, Pallister looking to post a good time here. Quadrilla, she's 26 years of age. She seems to have been on the international scene for so long. She was the 4th place getter at the Olympics. She is the defending champion here and a silver medalist at the Fukuoka World Championships. That was in 2023. So she's chasing Lani Pallister. And again, there's not too much in it. But Pallister, will she want to hang on and take out this heat?
Yeah, they're looking at times of around about 15:45. I think 15:46 for these two, which means Gan's on pace to break 16 minutes. That would be monumental there, with an entry time of 16:10 for the Singaporean, which means the rest of the field is well off their entry times. They're finding it tough to race the distance events here in Singapore after, again, in the first unseeded heat, only 1 out of the 7 swimmers were quicker than their entry time.
Well, this is going to be interesting. The last, 125 metres. And it's going to be interesting to see just what Pallister does, just how hard Quadrilla goes. She's taken about a 1/4 of a second off that Pallister lead. And now, as they turn, the margin 3/4 of a second. So Pallister holding on at the moment over the Italian.
Yeah, looking more comfortable is Pallister. Quadrilla trying to be a bit more aggressive with that stroke rate now, but Pallister is a really competitive swimmer, a competitive person. She's not going to let Quattarella go past her. Of course, Pallister did beat McIntosh in the 400 heat yesterday. And again, swimming comfortable here as she's taken more arm strokes than she's done kicks. 0 dolphin kicks off the wall. Australia ahead of Italy with 50 to go. And Singapore, this could be a big story if Gan Qingwei can break 16 minutes.
So that margin closed again as they turned, and now Quattarella is really flying home here. So too Pallister, though. Pallister's looking out at Quattarella, so it's going to go right to the last stroke. I think Pallister's going to hold on. Pallister wins it, and she wins it by around half a second over Quattarella. Gan is coming in to finish in 3rd place. We'll watch her time with interest. So terrific effort by the swimmer from Singapore. She finishes in 16:01.29, and her 4th home, it's going to be Ghosts of Germany. Pallister, Quattarella, Gan and Ghost, Kajimoto and Cox. Cox ended up in 6th placing.
A great performance there from Pallister, Quattarella, and a Singapore national record there for Gan Qingwei, 16:01.29. A fantastic performance there. I would have to believe that'll be good enough to make the final tomorrow night.